Welcome to What Are You Sporting About podcast, a podcast about business, employment, sports, and entertainment to help educate, support, and guide you to your next level. Here's your host, attorney Sivonnia DeBarros.
Hello, everybody. It is Attorney DeBarros, the protector of athletes, and I'm super excited to be here with you today because there is some very fun stuff that is going on. This is a major day for student athletes in 6 states. So before we jump into it, I definitely want to let you know that there is a new book launching called Athletes Making Moves. That will be launching July 31st of this year. And I'm super excited about it because I get another chance to pour into athletes, collegiate level, as well as professional, about name, image, and likeness, how it impacts them at the college level, but also what their intellectual property rights look like from a intellectual property standpoint, contract standpoint, the way that they deal with third parties post-college. So let's dive into it, guys, because like I said, today is such an amazing day. It is July 1st, and for a lot of people in the sports world, you know what that means. That means 6 states' legislation on name, image, and likeness has officially gone effective. So for those athletes in those 6 states, they can tap into the name, image, and likeness third-party contract protections faster than these other states that are waiting to go into effect. So what I want to do is share with you guys those states. So it's Alabama, Georgia, it is Florida, Mississippi, New Mexico, Texas. Now, Illinois did something super exciting, and I had a chance to actually speak with the press on this when it went live. They skipped over everybody and went completely effective. So that was really cool. If you are a student athlete in Illinois, you can also take advantage of name, image, and likeness opportunities. All right. So I definitely just want to give you guys the real, especially for my college athletes, because I know that thinking about law or lawyers is not something, it's not pretty. It's not something that you will want to do, but you need to. There's so many people who have been asking me questions about what I think about name, image, and likeness. Is it really something good for student athletes? Is it doing too much to them? Is it putting too much on their shoulders that they really shouldn't be worried about right now at this juncture as a college athlete and also a student? Is it going to be too much? Are people going to come and technically try to run amok on them? Look, the answer, I feel like, depends on who you ask, right? It's going to depend on the type of answer that they give you and whether that's something that you like or not. I just know that it is time for college athletes who are put through the ringer for so much, so long, the sacrifices that they make to be beaten up and beaten down in college sports, and everyone has a dollar on their name except for that student athlete. And when that student athlete leaves the college level, if they don't have certain support or they don't have someone in their corner to assist them, or they've been focusing on sports and just performing for their school for so long and have kind of forgot about school, or were put into a easier type of major that is not giving them any experience or any opportunities outside of sports, it's going to be hard for that athlete. So this is an opportunity for those athletes to create something that they can be proud of, that they can start to create like a sustainability for their own future. It's also a way for these student athletes to start cultivating relationships, creating relationships with other individuals in industries that you see yourself in, that you want to be in. And guess what? We live in a an era right now where athletes are so vocal about how they feel about injustices and different types of movements. They are on social media a lot more than when folks like me was in college. We weren't on social media like that, right? And so this is now another opportunity. They're already doing it. Why not get paid for it? Everyone else is getting paid off of your name. Why not you? Why not you? Why can't you have your hand in the pot as well? So I love this. Here's my first tip. Because now as a student athlete, you are effectively in these states. If you are going to stick your hand into that pot to exercise your right to enter third-party contracts based on the brand that you create as a student athlete, it's imperative that you hire counsel. And this is important because guess what? All these legislations that I've been reading, all of them state that college athletes should have representation. And specifically, they state legal representation and an agent. Now, you want to make sure that you vet the people who will be in your corner. And that's the most important thing about building teams. You have to vet the people who you are bringing aboard because they can sink the entire ship. It's also going to be essential as a college athlete, someone who is extremely busy. If you are a top performing athlete, someone who has a lot of brand on your name, like brand awareness on your name, is going to be crucial that you have the proper team in place so that you can, delegate properly the things that need to be handled while you are away. So hire a lawyer. If you need an agent, get an agent. But I will also tell you that you need a financial advisor. And you're probably going to also need a CPA. If you are blessed enough to create a brand that is doing deals with other third parties and you're making a hefty amount of money, you may have to file taxes. And that also means that you are going to want to go ahead and create a business entity so that you can deduct certain expenses through that. But that's a talk for another day. But I just want you guys to know that you need to hire representation to help you to navigate these areas. Now, these schools do require disclosures. Okay, they require disclosures. Depending on the state that you're in, there may be a timeline for when you need to disclose certain things. Other states just say, hey, you need to check with your school official to determine when certain things must be provided. Okay. But here's what I will tell you. If your school does not have a particular timeline, I would just set my timeline at least about 3 days, between 3 days to 7 days. And you need to track all of this stuff. And I talk about this in my upcoming book, Athletes Making Moves. So I definitely want you to join me July 31st as we tackle the issues around name, image, and likeness. Not just what you're going to be dealing with as a student athlete, but also how name, image, and likeness translates after college. How do you deal with those issues? Okay, so this is the perfect point now because you're able to see things in action from a college student's perspective prior to dealing with all the stuff at a professional level that a lot of people, that's their first time of having to tackle a lot of these issues and concerns around contracts and business relationships. So you want to track everything. You need a tracker. And if you pre-order Athletes Making Moves, the special edition, that will be in the book for you, and as well as some other resources, because I want you to start off sharp. I want you to start off ahead of the game, unlike how some other people may be doing. I want you to start off on top, okay? So you need to track all of that. You need to make sure that you are disclosing your professional relationships. So if you hire a lawyer, if you hire a financial advisor, if you hire an agent, you should have a scheduled plan of how long it will take for you to get that representation document together, a written letter of notification to your school regarding that representation. Okay. And then when there is a potential or a proposed contract based around your name, image, and likeness, same thing. Okay, what are the steps that the team is going to take? And if I was on your team, we would have a set way of how we are going to do things. So if you're in one of these states and you have a proposed contract for your name, image, and likeness, okay, boom. What is the contract? What is the date? What are they asking of you? What do they want you to do? How much are you being paid for it? But here's the thing, and this is the second tip. You need to make sure you have a copy of your team's contract and your school's policy, or at least the athletic policy. Now, I believe the NCAA is getting around to recreating some of their rules or policies. But the reason why I say this is because the legislation makes very clear that if there is a conflict in your proposed name, image, and likeness contract, it will create a conflict of interest, right, with the school. And so the school will have the right to not honor that. And you don't want to start off on a bad footing. So make sure you disclose that stuff ahead of time. And we talk about this, and I actually take you through some potential hypothetical issues around law in the book. So I really want you to make sure you go over to athletesmakingmoves.com and pre-order that book today, and make sure you secure your seat for the lunch on July 31st, because that's going to be, first off, it's going to be super dope. And second, it's just going to benefit you so that you can start off ready and in the driver's seat for your future. One thing that I thought was interesting, and I saw this with Alabama, I did not see this with the other states, but Alabama is requiring its schools to create an athlete injury fund. And what was cool about this is Alabama, because I think there's one other state, I believe it was Arkansas, but Arkansas didn't go live today. All right, so Alabama did. And they're requiring 15% of ticket sales to create the athlete injury savings account. But here's the kicker, and this is something that I loved. The qualifying injury, so if you were a student athlete and you qualified and you were injured, you should be compensated after graduation. I believe there's also a clause in there that states eligible student athletes will receive a payout at the end of each term of academic career. But yeah, so that's super, super good. Another thing, guys, when you are vetting anyone to come on your team, whether it's in a professional capacity or someone that you're trying to do business with, or someone who you want to work with you, it is imperative that you ask questions. Don't go into your meetings blindsided without practicing or sitting down to carve out questions that you really, really have, right? Of course, this is an exciting time, but it's also important that you take this seriously. You take this seriously. If you play your cards right, this can be the setup for your life. If you play your cards right, this could be the setup for your life. So I want you to definitely keep that in mind. Another tip, name, image, and likeness at its most basic core is intellectual property. And you want to make sure that you protect your intellectual property. Okay, so as you are creating your brand, and this is another reason why having counsel is imperative, you want to make sure that you are filing the necessary federal or state registrations to continue protecting that brand. Okay, now, side note, be cognizant of how and when you are engaged in your contract deals while you are technically involved in official or school sanctioned activities. So you're going to want to clarify with your school what qualifies as a qualifying event. Is practice qualifying? Is that a school sanctioned sponsored event? Is it my games? Of course. I mean, that's like the obvious, right? But we want to be clear on that, and a lawyer can help you do that. One thing about legislation is it creates the parameters, but sometimes lawmakers have never been trial lawyers. So what ends up happening is there is a little bit of ambiguity that tend to seep into some of the language, because as a lawyer in a trial litigation counsel, I can see sometimes I'm like, okay, what exactly do they mean here? It may seem straight up clear to them, when they write it, but when you start thinking about all the different ways that issues could come up, I'm looking at the ambiguity. So we want to make sure we kind of clear some of those things up. And that way you have a clear idea and understanding of what you need to do. So that is all that I have for you guys. I just wanted to make sure that I gave you some tips to help you get started. I am super excited about this opportunity for you all in these 6 states: Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, New Mexico, and Texas. And let's not forget though, because Illinois did kind of like just, swooped all over that, honey. But for the other states that are still waiting to, the student athletes who are waiting for their states to make their NIL rules effective, it's okay. Just look, this is your moment to plan, right? Get ready so you can stay ready, and you'll be ready when it happens. So this is a good way for you to start preparing now. So like I said, I want you guys to go over to athletesmakingmoves.com, or you can click the link in the comments. And you can also go to the link here at the bottom of my screen, bit.ly/AMM-book launch, to secure your ticket for Athletes Making Moves on all things name, image, and likeness. Secure your future. Okay. So it is time for you to secure your future. And what other time than this? This is such an amazing time for college athletics and for student athletes. So definitely go there, secure your seat by purchasing your ticket today. This is all going down July 31st, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And until then, I'm sure I will be back before you guys with another episode of What Are You Sporting About? I'm sure of it. But until then, I will check you later. Ciao.
Thanks for joining us this week on What Are You Sporting About podcast. Make sure to visit our website, prosportlawyer.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite platform is, so you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, What Are You Sporting About? Attorney Sivonnia DeBarros is available for private consulting at sldebarros.com. And remember, we're here to educate, support, and guide you in your journey to success, because we're all sporting about something.